Welcome, everybody, to the Cast from the Coast. My name is Adam Miles, and I'm joined, as always, by Josh Lambert and Tim Johnson. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. If you like what you're about to watch, please take the opportunity, if you're watching this on YouTube, to hit that subscribe button down below on the Misunderstood Art Company. And if you're listening to this on any of the podcasting channels that we present this to you on, don't forget, share and subscribe to those as well. Tim, what are we talking about today?
A continuation of the Frankenstein story from 1939, Son of Frankenstein.
All right, Tim, give us a synopsis, bud.
That's my favorite bit. I love it.
Returning to his ancestral castle long after the death of the monster, the son of Dr. Frankenstein meets a mad shepherd who's hiding a comatose creature. To clear the family's name, he revives the creature and tries to rehabilitate him. Rehabilitate.
Okay.
Hey, at least I recovered.
Yes, you did, Tim. Very well done. Very well done.
Sexual. Yeah, so don't talk to me.
Don't even. All right.
Weird.
Oh, man. Okay, so where to start with this one? So we have the third in the Frankenstein movie series from Universal Monsters, in which many years later, many years later, how many years later is this supposed to be? Like 20 some odd years later, I would say.
No.
Well, it's got to be, because how the fuck old is his son?
I don't know. He just had a son. It never said that the son was like born after the fact. Like, just look at Igor. Igor don't look that old in comparison.
In comparison to what? That wasn't Igor in the first movie. That was Fritz. Different characters. That's right.
They looked and acted the exact same.
They do.
And they reference their actions from the first film.
Plot hole.
Maybe his name is just Igor Fritz.
Fucked if I know at this point. Okay, so, yes, we have Frankenstein's son, who comes to take over the family castle and try to build up the name of Frankenstein again, and hopefully undo the terrors in which his father unleashed upon the world. So here we go. He moves there with his wife and young child, and some of the scenery seems familiar, potentially. But there's some things that have changed, some things that have come and gone, etc., etc. Like the, in this case, the train station was referencing the fact that that was named after the family Frankenstein. It's weird.
They were very, very important people in that town.
Apparently.
They were the Barons.
They were the Barons.
The Baron Frankenstein.
Yes, even though they basically are demonized at this point, they were still important people.
Yeah. They caused the downfall of tourism to wherever the fuck
They've
they
caused
live.
a lot of fucking problems, is what really came down to it. So Yeah, so the family moves in, and he takes the opportunity to visit his father's destroyed laboratory, which the last time we seen it was in shambles after the Bride of Frankenstein incident. And we come to find that Igor has been living around the ruins, as it is. He was left for dead after an unsuccessful hanging that broke his neck, cricked it into a particular way, and his bones all fused that way, so he walks around that way. And
I think it's dope that it's fucking like I think it's dope that Igor's played by Bela Lugosi.
Yeah, it absolutely is, and rightly so. This is the epitome of the Igor character, because like in the first one, like I said, it was like he refers to him as, you know, Fritz, and it's the character's Fritz, and but Igor is the telling name of, you know, Frankenstein's, you know, assistant, or that of a evil doing assistant, Hunchback, exactly.
Hunchback.
So it is kind of interesting to see Bela Lugosi himself kind of play right alongside of Boris Karloff in this case.
Boris.
Yeah. And yes, so then we come to find out that Dr. Frankenstein as he was, the original Dr. Frankenstein, plus Dr. Frankenstein's father, the characters, the Burgermeister or whatever he was at the time, of the Baron family, they're buried below, in like a tomb or a crypt below the actual location. Yeah, I got seize. Excuse me.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Yes, thank you. So they're buried in a crypt below, and it's been like graffitied, but as well come to see that the monster, who is considered invincible, I guess, survived the destruction of the Bride of Frankenstein scenario, and has been pseudo comatose this entire time, living below the quote unquote living in the crypt amongst his creator's body, as it is. So yeah, Igor takes advantage of the fact that the new Frankenstein that has come onto the scene is a doctor himself, and he wishes to utilize him to continue his father's experiments. Only difference is, at this time around, Igor utilizes the monster to his advantage to take revenge on the people who left him for dead, and starts sending him out with like a kill list, so to speak, of people. And it all culminates when Frankenstein finds this out and decides to shoot Igor, and the monster goes crazy, decides to kidnap his kid, and it goes into another big fight scene. And we think that we actually did kill the monster in this one, because he sends him into a pit of burning sulfur. He'll be fine. He'll be fine. Because I mean, they do talk about the fact that it's like an invincible character. Like he says, like, you can't kill this character. Like, it just doesn't happen. So
you can't kill that which is not alive.
Exactly. All right, throwing it out there. Put your penny's worth out there for the characters in the script. What do you got?
Igor, very good. Liked him. Frankenstein's son, kind of a wiener. Could do without him. Didn't really like the character that much. I loved the idea that Igor was hung, and because he survived his hanging, he met his punishment and is no longer able to be held accountable for it.
Yeah.
I love that concept, and I think that's based in some kind of reality. The monster. Get to see the monster again in all of his glory. I think Boris did an excellent job, as he always does.
Now, here's something interesting about all that too. In this case here, I mean, it could be the fact that the monster, you know, was injured, damaged, whatever, and went comatose. In the second one, he learns how to speak. He becomes a little more human-esque. In this one, he's back to just grunting and groaning. It's like he's reverted. Yeah,
right.
Either they retconned it, or he's just kind of reverted, like he's lost that. You know, something happened, right? It's, I don't know. It's hard to say exactly what happened, I guess. Tim, you're looking awful, stink-eyed at me for a minute there. What do you got to say?
What are your
No. I feel that the first entry in this series was really, really good. And it wasn't going to warrant any sequels, but it was a success. And Boris Karloff was born to play this role that, oh my God, let's make another one. And, the sensibility back in, the early 1930s, yeah, all right, let's just get the money together and do a sequel. So then they did Bride of Frankenstein. And that was successful as well. But I feel like, the third part, and it always happens in the third part of a series, the story was kind of underwhelming. Like I mean, forget the fact that this is like, the last Boris Karloff Frankenstein movie. I don't know. Like, it
could have been so much more.
I didn't like this one as much as I like the other two. And I felt that
worse, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, that usually happens. I don't know if it was just uninspired and they were trying to fucking, make money. I thought Basil Rathbone, the guy who played Wolf, I thought he was okay. He did the part he was supposed to do. Igor's the fucking star of the show, though. Oh, Lugosi, man, I
almost literally love this role more than him playing Dracula. Like for him.
He had more to work with this. Right? Like, his Dracula role was very reserved, and like I said in the previous Horror of Dracula, talking about Lugosi's Dracula, like, it was very reserved and mysterious, and but this, he chewed the scenery, man. He was good in all the scenes, and I love that. The reason why
crick in his neck, yeah.
Yeah, I loved it. I loved it.
Agreeing with the idea behind the fact that things get worse as they progress for these kinds of movies. The one thing that I thought that was good, though, is that they didn't continue with the whole keep Heinrich von Frankenstein alive. You know what I mean? Like they progressed beyond that and tried to do like a next generation type of movie where they kind of moved to something that would probably appeal as an update to the series, and it was okay that they did that.
Can we just talk about the fucking annoying little kid?
Dude, he was adorable for the most part, though. Come on.
He was adorable, but like, even for a child actor, his fucking acting was deplorable.
Oh, stop.
He speaks with a very distinct Southern accent, which completely took me out of it. And yeah,
Nope.
Didn't like it.
Nope. I wish that the monster had thrown him in the sulfur pit like he threw the little girl into the lake.
I wish, yeah.
I thought he was gonna. I was so excited when I saw it. I was like, "Oh my god!"
He's gonna remember the little girl into the water and throw him in the sulfur.
Yeah.
Bye-bye, little
Go
boy.
hunting in the sulfur.
Disappointing.
Yeah. He was definitely probably the worst part of the movie, in my opinion. But it's hilarious, because I'm just going to say this, and I'd mentioned this before we really kind of started. This, in my opinion, is the movie in which a lot of people probably have never seen, but a lot of what Frankenstein is comes from this movie. The whole Igor scenario, right? Like I said, I've seen him, obviously, character creation, creature models and shit like this. He's got the suit on, but I've seen a shit ton of them where he's wearing like this fucking animal skin tunic instead. You know what I mean? It's, that's the creature version. You know what I mean? It's weird like that. And there's so much about this movie that I'm familiar with, but I've never seen any of it. I swear, I've never seen any of this movie. In fact, I'm pretty sure I barely knew this movie's existence before you had mentioned it when we were originally talking about it. You know, like, I knew that there were Frankenstein movies, other ones, but it's like, is Son of Frankenstein really a universal one? Like, I thought that maybe it was some other cheap, low-budget one. Which, to a point...
Son of Frankenstein is
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like,
budget,
it is kind of just that, but it's an official Universal monster movie, so it's, you know, so
yes,
it's just something to look around.
I felt kind of ripped off. I was hoping for like a little mini
like
monster.
an actual son of Frankenstein,
like the son of Frankenstein,
like murder the kid and bring the kid back, and the kid's like, you know, a southern accent little Frankenstein.
Well, they threw me off because you get the first one. And they establish Frankenstein is the doctor. Don't call the monster Frankenstein. Then you get the second one, and they're like the Bride of Frankenstein, except for, okay, no, this is the bride of the monster. So then you get Son of Frankenstein, and you're like, oh, well, clearly they've established that we're just going to call the monster Frankenstein, so this is going to be the son of the monster.
You bring up an interesting point, though. That is something that they did call to in this movie, was... Wolf himself actually states that his family's entanglement with the way that the creature had run amok, it's all in one now. So Frankenstein's monster is just being referred to as Frankenstein.
My favorite line in the entire film. It is so meta before meta was a thing. He's in the train cart and he's talking about how 9 out of 10 people refer to the monster as
and later on it's talked about the fact that it's almost like this is his brother. And shit like that, right? So yeah, it is fucking meta. So, you know, and the argument tells, like when we were talking about this way originally about, you know, the whole idea that people always refer to the monster as Frankenstein. Well, this movie kind of fucking sets that tone. So, in my opinion, after having seen this movie, it's more acceptable in my eyes now to actually say Frankenstein in reference to the Frankenstein monster, because they actually set that as part of, like...
I think they did it because people were just calling
it
Frankenstein anyways. They were referring to the monster as Frankenstein, so they said, well, let's embrace it. The monster doesn't really have a very good ring about it, and it's kind of hard to sell the monster toys or whatever paraphernalia they sold
but
at this point.
In this kind of a case, just like what we talk about anything else, they made it canon. It is Frankenstein now. So, yeah, you know, it's pretty cool. So, it is. But you know what? I'd really like to hear what Josh thinks about the movie. So, Josh, please regale us with thine notes.
Regale.
Alrighty. My first viewing of Son of Frankenstein took place April 12th, 2021 at 9:13 a.m. First we get the credits, and I get to find out that we get both Boris Karloff and Bela Lugosi in one film. For a film of this era, what more could you possibly want? These are the two headliners you want to see on that bill of credits. The Son of Frankenstein is actually the son of Dr. Frankenstein, not a little mini monster. #disappoint. I wrote, he's an American Frankenstein visiting his ancestors' lands, but I don't think he was American, was he?
No, I think he was just... I think he was supposed to be, like, British or some shit.
Yeah, I don't know if the actor was American or what, but for whatever reason, when he was in that first train cart scene, I thought he was American. It was all Igor's fault. Yep. The 9 out of 10 people call the monster Frankenstein. This series was so meta before meta was even a thing. I said... my favorite line in the film by far is that quick little quip. We come to meet you, but not to greet you.
That was a slap.
They all met him there at the train station. They're like, oh, you're the Frankenstein.
Fuck you.
Yeah, we owe a lot to your town. Your town owes a lot to us, you dick. Is Igor this film's monster, I said. Because at this point I thought the monster was dead. So and Igor's kind of acting... conspicuously, so I thought maybe he's like this film's monster. That is a comically large door knocker at their house. It is like these. It's got to be 3 feet. It's like a 3-foot round
The
door.
general even refers to it later as comically. Yeah.
Oh, it's absurd. Frank pulled his arm out! Exclamation point, question mark, exclamation point, question mark. I don't remember that. Did that happen?
In the movie. It just refers to the fact. So, but you can also assume it might have been during The Bride of Frankenstein when he was running amok in the village, because there were scenarios in The Bride of Frankenstein where it showed like people dead on the side of the road, and there was no real context except for the monster was here, right? So he was one of the victims.
The monster fucking plucked the arms right out of this poor bugger.
Yeah.
A boar, just like Aunt Fanny. Aunt Fanny. I don't remember what that is, but I wrote boom, roasted.
Oh, the kid said he was gonna. No, there was like a carving, like a gargoyle, and they're like, "What?" And he's like, "What is that?" Oh, that's a boar. Oh, like Aunt Fanny? No, she's not. Okay, yeah. It's not a boar like your boar. No, it's a wild boar.
Oh, I didn't. You said it twice, and I didn't even get that correlation that Aunt Fanny is just boring. I thought he was referring to her as like
pig woman.
A boar.
Could be like an ugly pig woman too. Yes, one or the other.
No, yours makes
an ugly pig woman.
Aunt Fanny's an ugly pig woman, and she's boring.
So yours makes more sense. I love the Son of Frankenstein's pencil mustache. It's very Gomez Adams. There's a secret passage. Does he have the monster down there? Question mark. And I wrote the monster. And then I wrote he's alive. So is Igor nursing him to health? I wondered. Hung and pronounced dead, and thus can't be hanged again. Love it.
That's an interesting call too, because that's something that's been in state of execution in the United States. They actually have a law about that.
I thought there was something in reality in that. Like, if you've been executed
and pronounced dead.
Like, isn't there someone? Yeah, well, there was someone that has been on death row, and there was like a freak power outage as the electric chair got turned on or something. But because he was there and whatever, he's considered met his deeds to society as far as
there was somebody who was apparently it was electrocution. There was somebody who was hung. It was declared dead by a doctor, but came back to life, and still, it's the same thing.
Yeah. Interesting. I wrote cosmic rays with an exclamation point. He's awake, maybe not. And then I said, kids say the darndest things. This kid gets Frankenstein Jr. in so much trouble with the inspector. Just dropping all this otherwise conceivable nonsense. Gonna get his pops and shit. Reunited. Brothers, the monster, and Frank. Reunited brothers, the monster. Oh, just how they talk about how he's kind of his brother. Why does Igor play the clarinet? It's very weird. Don't like it.
Well, it's not fully panned out in the movie, but it's basically it's like a control factor for Frankenstein's monster. It's if you read into it, it's something to do with like a start and stop scenario, like a Pavlov's dog, with the fucking
like the brown
note. It's a brown note. Yeah, I'm gonna do this, and you're gonna kill that guy. It's that kind of a weird thing, but it doesn't flesh it out very well.
No. And didn't the other, like the blind man in The Bride of Frankenstein, play the flute too?
Violin.
Violin as well. So
music like some murder.
Music. Nice use of the silhouettes when Frank kills the apothecary. That's probably my favorite scene.
It was dramatic.
It was good. Yeah, it was good. Igor's death is going to send Frank into a rage. They must really trust each other's dart skills. They're standing like directly next to the board as they're firing darts at it. And then my last note is just, holy crap, he Tarzaned.
He Tarzaned him. It's true.
Yeah.
I'm surprised you don't have more notes than that.
Those are my notes.
How many times did you look at your phone?
I didn't like the movie a lot. I didn't like the movie. I felt it boring. There was a couple good scenes, but I'll be honest, I wasn't keen on it.
That's fair enough. The effects work in this movie are very almost nil. to be honest. One of the weirdest effects that happens is when Frankenstein lays the guy underneath the fucking carriage. And just, you start to see the carriage roll over him, and it's like, it's not even really an effect as much, you know what I mean? Like, the monster makeup was the majority.
No.
Just the makeup, and that was it.
Yeah.
So, Igor and Frankenstein's monster himself, just that. And, you know, atypical, it probably took like 4 or 5 hours to get them into their makeup, and then they did their shoots. So, effects work is kind of, this movie was more about telling a next generational story, so what are you going to do?
I think it was a way to make more money.
Yes.
Hello everybody, I am Fabio Frizzi and you are listening to Daycast from the Coast.
Sign at the railway station, the village of Frankenstein sits at an altitude of 938 meters above sea level.
It's awkward.
Didn't know that.
No, I did not know that. That is true trivia.
True fucking trivia.
As in trivial facts that you'll never need.
Yeah. Universal Pictures produced this third Frankenstein film under the reissue of the 1931 original Frankenstein, and Bela Lugosi's Dracula as a double feature proved hugely successful in 1938. Even greater success than the Son of Frankenstein prompted the Universal to get back into the monster movie business. And the studio continued churning out Frankenstein, vampire, mummy, werewolf sequels throughout the next decade. To add this film to add to this film's spook factor, Universal Pictures scheduled its release for Friday the 13th of January 1939. Nice. As part of the original Shock Theater package of 52 Universal titles released for television in 1957, the following year, Son of Shock was added, which added more than 20 more features. Igor can be seen having a long, sharp, pointy canine teeth in his mouth. This might be an homage, a tip of the hat, if you will, to Lugosi's Dracula, who he played 7 years earlier and didn't have fangs.
Interesting.
The monster's agonizing cry upon finding Igor's body was also used for the moment when the wolf kicks the monster into the sulfur pit. When Wolf kicks the monster into the sulfur pit. Universal was so impressed with Karloff's scream that it was used in a bunch of other non-horror films. And my last one is, as part of an article about this movie in 1967 issue of Famous Monsters of Filmland, Forrest J. Ackerman published 2 stills of Boris Karloff as the monster and Edgar Norton as Benson the butler. In the first, the monster is standing just behind the other, who is holding a tray bearing a plate of chicken. In the other, the monster is eating a chicken leg while Benson lies in a heap before him. There is no such sequence that appears in the movie. From these, Ackerman surmised that the scene of the monster killing the butler had been filmed and left on the proverbial cutting room floor. And that was trivia time.
Okay, Josh, take your pick.
This is a very tricky one.
I know. I tried. You pissed me off last episode.
The only one I think he tripped himself up on when he was talking about was his very first trivia point. When he was talking about why Boris Karloff didn't want to speak anymore or something.
Really?
That didn't make any sense. Because he goes on to play the fucking monster like a
No, he didn't.
more times.
He really didn't.
Didn't he?
He only did it like 3
movie.
times. Except for there was one other time he appeared, but it was like a quick joke or something like this in a movie at one point. But that was it.
I can read it again to you, Josh.
Okay.
Would you like me to read it to you again?
Yes.
Would that make you feel better?
Maybe.
Is that the only? That
is the only one I'm even suspicious of.
Because
so that's not it. You snuck in a good one, and it completely bypassed me. That's the only one I'm even sus about.
I think I ad-libbed it, some of it. After learning to speak in Bride of Frankenstein, 1935, the monster Boris Karloff is once again mute in this film. No explanation is given for the change due to backstage politics about Boris Karloff being done. Shit. Oh no. Oh no, Josh.
Like I said, I think you got me there.
I think the one in question has to do with Basil Rathbone not liking horror films. Because I seem to recall he did something else. I don't know what it was. Like, I know that he played, like, Sherlock Holmes, and it might have been, like, a horror type one, like, Bound to the, Hound of the Baskervilles or whatever, or something like that. I don't know. But go ahead, Tim. That's my thought.
Which one was it?
It was the Basil one?
Oh, I said, where was the Basil?
No, it was like midway through.
See, I thought maybe he was trying to be tricky and get the first one in and forget all about it.
No, despite his frequent appearances in horror films, Basil Rathbone had a particular disdain for them. This is likely the reason of his over-the-top performance, most notable in the scene in which he had with Inspector Crow as he
throwing the darts. Yeah.
He read both of them off the sheet.
Which one was it, Tim?
I wish it was the one where he dropped the kid.
That would have been great.
That kid.
That was too much gold. There's no way you made that up.
You got it again, bud. You got it again.
So what was the actual?
The actual piece of trivia was, and I will read it verbatim.
He was fucking sneaky, trying to get in the first one. That's dirty.
No, I'm trying all kinds of tricks to throw you off. Josh, you're really good at this.
Fuck.
I think what I got to do is actually write them down.
Yeah, I think if you had them written down and write a fake one in, and that way there's no... Because sometimes I do catch you when you're making something up.
But, come on, you were put into doubt when I literally read it again, though.
Totally.
Yeah, I was.
Okay, so the actual piece of trivia is, after learning to speak in Bride of Frankenstein, the monster Boris Karloff is once again mute for this film. No explanation is given for the change. And then I made up the part about the backstage politics.
Except for backstage politics, because he didn't want to portray the monster again. See, now that would have worked if I knew that he didn't portray the monster again. That would have helped, because I thought there was another like dozen movies where he played the monster.
But I knew.
There are, but this was the last one with Karloff.
Oh, okay. But see, it's also interesting too, because one of the big pieces of trivia from the past that we talked about with the first movie was the fact that Lugosi was originally up for the role of Frankenstein's monster, and yet part of the trivia here talks about the fact that when it's Frankenstein versus the Wolfman, Lugosi fucking portrays the monster. So that's an interesting throwback to the way that things sometimes come full circle, right? So, well.
I'm trying, Josh. I'm trying. You're very good.
Pete. He is a sneaky
good. No, you're very good. Adam, you picked good ones. You always pick good ones.
I picked plausible items.
But I like the ones that you always pick, and you're like, really? That really is real? Like,
that's more impressive. That you got a trivia in on Frankenstein on him that he didn't. That he legitimately thought, no, there's no way.
Yeah. Well, I'm 0 for nothing, so. Whatever.
I'm just a good judge of character. I look at someone and know when they're bullshitting.
Yeah, so next episode, folks, Josh will not get it.
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, that has been the Trivia Time with Tim. There we go. All right, gentlemen, time to wrap it up with our final thoughts and review on this movie. And just for the shits and giggles, Tim, you're going first.
Oh,
Yeah, you
I
did.
just
Now
talked
you're gonna
much.
talk again.
Okay. Like I said earlier, this it's part of a trilogy. I love Boris Karloff as Frankenstein. I feel that any other Frankenstein pales in comparison to his. It could be part and parcel to the fact that he was the first one. His look was iconic. I do give credit to them trying to come up with another story. I just felt that out of the three, this was the weakest. But there's many elements in this movie that I really, really liked. I thought, like Adam said earlier, Frankenstein's look, his costume, with that kind of ratty, tunic, bear skin,
The
whatever.
vest.
Yeah. Yes, that's an iconic Frankenstein look. Bela Lugosi is Igor, man.
Best
Oh,
part of the movie.
oh, it was great. Best part of the movie. I felt like everybody else was just there. Like I was just waiting. Like, and I also liked Wolf von Frankenstein, Basil Rathbone. I liked him in it. He played a douchey character. Like fuck this guy, right? Like, it's okay. I'm glad it's made. I'm glad I watched it in its entirety. But I just felt that it didn't give me closure. The closure that I was looking for. I also wanted more character development with the monster. After the last one, him learning to speak and then not again. It could be, because maybe Karloff didn't want to take away from Lugosi's performance. Maybe there's just too many people talking. I don't know. I thought it was a dumb mistake because continuity is a big deal for me. I don't know. It's good. The charm is still there with the sets and the mood. I feel like that's been carried through all of them. The makeup effects are still top notch for the day. I found that I was looking at my phone a lot with this one. This was the first time that I watched this completely all the way through. But I feel like I've watched it before. And I know I haven't, but I feel like I have. I'm going to give this an R. Only because it's part of the trilogy. I recommend watching all three of them. They don't make movies like this anymore, and these are iconic. And even though this last part was weak, it's still part of the trilogy. So I give it an R.
Fair enough. Josh.
I also love Lugosi in this, and it was nice to see Karloff reprise his role, the monster. But this movie has some timing issues that are unforgivable, unlike the original, which has timing issues which I will forgive. The sequel is progressively worse, in my opinion, than the one before it. And in general, the story just seemed kind of unnecessary to me. I didn't like the son of Frankenstein. I didn't think he was a good replacement for the Doctor. And generally, I dislike this film, to be quite truthful. It does not rate highly with me, and I will only give it a G rating for the sake of the fact that it is part of this original trilogy. And should you want to surround yourself with the original Frankenstein lore, you should watch this film.
Gee, okay.
Yeah.
Well, this is a movie that's kind of tearing us apart a little bit here. So it is polarizing. It's true.
I don't feel like we're being torn apart, but
well, Adam hasn't spoken yet. Just wait.
So I unabashedly love Frankenstein the monster is my favorite of the Universal monsters. I got the tattoo, the decal on the car, like Frankenstein. This is my favorite fucking character. I think that they did a big disservice to the creature in this one. He no longer is the sympathetic creature. It's weird the way that they played him in this one. It was a little too much in terms of the monster and not the sympathetic human monster, you know what I mean, that he was always intended to be. The saving grace in this movie is, in fact, Bela Lugosi as Igor, which, and once again, and we talked about this earlier, it's kind of a little bit of a confusing scenario because the original character's name was Fritz from the first movie, and it's Igor here. Or is it the same character? There's no correlation directly, except for the fact that they talk about the fact that Igor was hung for his crimes of digging up bodies and assisting and stuff like this. So it's, are they retconning things? Is it that it's Fritz Igor, Igor Fritz? Like, who the fuck knows? There's certain things that they don't really kind of clarify. I don't mind certain changes, but I wish that certain things would have been given a little bit more thought and fleshed out. Like, I don't mind the fact that the creature became mute again. But it would have been nice to say, damage to vocal cords, or, you know, after the injuries that he sustained, the brain took too much of a hit. So that's why he's more of a creature than a sympathetic, you know, monster. He can't talk anymore. You know, there's shit like this that they should have actually thought out and fleshed out. But Tim's right. This seems more like a cash grab. Is really what it came down to. Let's just pump out another movie. Let's just go. Which kind of sucks. But the movie introduces us to some things that pop culture picks up on and later, you know, delves into a little bit more. For anybody who's seen Young Frankenstein, you know, the general in this is pretty much the general in that one. You know, he's got the fucking broken arm scenario going on where, you know, he's missing the arm and it's all weird and shit. You know, Mel Brooks had fun with that. This movie is sorely a disappointment for me in a lot of ways because of my absolute love for the first one, the iconicity of the second one. This third one is just kind of like there. Yes, parts of it will always be part of pop culture. The movie exists and it's, you know, part of a series of movies that you should be watching, but I can't really for any reason give it any more than, say, a PG. Pretty good. So that's why I'm claiming that this kind of polarizes us and kind of tears us in different directions, because Tim, you're an R, Josh, you're a G, I'm a PG on this, right in the middle of that, because I see where Josh is coming from and I see where Tim's coming from, and you know, I'm just gonna slip right in the middle there, guys, because it's just the way that this movie is, in my opinion. But yeah, I did find myself checking my phone. I thought that this movie, Tim, you brought up a good point during the trivia time. It's it's the longest of the Universal Monster movies. It felt it.
Yeah.
That extra fucking 10 minutes or whatever, like, it fucking, like, I felt it. It was weird. So.
And it was just 10 minutes.
That's the fucked up part.
Like, it wasn't even a.
It's not like it was a 2-hour movie. No, you know what I mean? Like, no, that extra 10 minutes was like, a little too much there, right? You know, it doesn't sit in the little over hour 10, you know, time. So, that being said, good conversation for the night, gentlemen. This has been a great discussion. You know, we're going to continue to review some of these classics because, let's face it, it's classic. Let's face it, these are the movies that people need to revisit. These are the movies that people need to sit down and see the origin of horror as it was from the heyday of the silver screen. So, thank you very much, everybody, for tuning into this episode and checking us out. If you're watching this once again on YouTube, Misunderstood Our Company, like, share, and subscribe. Hit that down below. And do it. And don't forget, we produce these in audio format for the podcasting fans out there on all the major podcasting platforms, including but not limited to iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, Amazon Music, etc., etc. We're also on Patreon. Open up your hearts and your wallets. Get Tim that little caffeine fixation that he needs. And until next time, Josh.
I'm just bitter that the son of Frankenstein wasn't the son of Frankenstein. You know what I mean?
A little monster running around.
You know what I mean?
He really just wanted the son to, like, Wolf's son to, like, die and come back as this little piddly ass monster that everybody just slaps around or some shit. Oh, isn't he cute? Slap.
Fuck, you know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Tim. Say goodbye, Tim.
Stay safe. Stay spooky.
Till next time, keep it creepy.
Good night.